It's Thursday again, tell everybody to lock in, grab some popcorn, a drink, and go and throw your AirPods in. It's the 1 hour show, constantly speaking facts. Bulletproof stats are always shooting from Matt. And when it comes to Kyle, you getting numbers and style. Jake is gonna educate you, he has that knowledge on file. Players, step your game up, don't be sluggish or lazy. Or Jimmy J might hit you with a shaky baby. Catch him on YouTube or any podcast platform. Breaking all the news down like Shaq does the backboards. No hot takes, this is where the hottest debate's at. Now kick your feet up, cause it's time for straight facts.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to Straight Facts, a sports show that educates and entertains, presented by the Up On Game podcast. It's your boy, Jimmy J. I'm with my guys, Matt Robinson to the far. No Kyle Syrek, no Jake Galli. So we had to call you mean to the bullpen.
Hey,
You mean going? I was about to say to the G League, but that'd be such a disrespect to you, my guy.
they got the Ignite now. You know, number 1 or number 2 pick this year was out of the G League.
That's true. Without further ado, that's Matt Valdovinos, man. Matty V.
What's up, y'all? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? Excited to be here.
It must be a real important time because we tapping into your expertise, man. And for y'all, like, y'all can't hear what goes on behind the scenes. These two, the two Matts that I'm sitting next to, just spent maybe the last 10 minutes, 15 minutes, just debating on who the top 3, greatest quarterbacks are. We was having trouble with that number 3. We didn't like.
Apparently, we having trouble with the number 2.
Number 1 and 2, and all of them. I don't have enough time to sit here and debate with Matt Robinson about the best quarterback of all time debate because we do that so often, and I just don't have the mental capacity to do it right now. What I do have the mental capacity to talk about is the NFL playoffs. Right? That's the big thing because. Like, we've been gearing up for this thing, and it's about ready to be here. Some teams are sitting pretty, but some teams actually are on upset alert. Some teams didn't have, like, the best draw in the first round. That's what we're going to get to first. We're going to highlight those teams that are on upset alert. And I know you're loving this first one down there as an Eagles fan because the Cowboys got a tough draw and got the 49ers in the first round, one of the hottest teams in the NFL coming into this year's playoffs. Kyle actually dropped a little tidbit for us, as he likes to do when he's not here. But he says, all I got to say is this a nightmare draw for a 3-seeded Cowboys team. Before we get into it, yay or nay? From the Nats. That's a nightmare draw.
I definitely think the 49ers have what it takes to put the Cowboys on the upset watch. For sure. Yeah.
Is it more, and we'll get into it, the facts and the stats as to why, but is it more of on the Cowboy side as to why, or more on the 49ers side as to why?
I just think the 49ers are a good wild card team, right? Like, I think they're talented. I think they've dealt with some issues this year, and I think that the Cowboys are somewhere that they're not super used to, right? Dak hasn't been here in a while. Mike McCarthy took the year off. How's he going to do in the playoffs without Aaron Rodgers? So I do think that the Cowboys just have a lot of internal questions, but I think overall it's just the fact that the 49ers are such a quality football team that they're just a team that even when you win the division, when you win the division, you're hoping to get the weakest team, right? You're hoping to get a team you feel comfortable, confident that on any given Sunday you should be beating, and I just don't think the Cowboys look at the 49ers in that light.
Not a team who's routed off 4 of the last 5 coming into the playoffs.
They're playing the best football in their division, and they finished third in their division because the Rams and Cardinals have been faltering down the end of the season. We saw the Cardinals falter against the Seahawks. It cost them the division, and we saw the Rams falter against the 49ers, which put the 49ers in the playoffs. And I think that this is a big show year for Kyle Shanahan. The only thing, like, if Micah Parsons really gets into Jimmy G's face, it can go bad. But San Francisco is really good at running screens. Cowboys don't have a good screen defense. The Cowboys allow 6.1 yards per carry on running plays with motion. The 49ers have the most running plays with motion in the NFL.
Creative offense, we know that.
Yeah, so it's going to be, I think, the most exciting close game of the weekend. Going to be a lot of back and forth body punches, and it's a reignition of like an old rivalry from the 90s.
Yeah, absolutely. The playoffs actually come down to, like, can your best players take over the game and make the best plays? And fortunately for the 49ers, their best player is not their quarterback. For the Cowboys, their best player arguably on the offensive side of the ball is their quarterback. But for the 49ers, averaging 6.1 yards per play, having, the best red zone offense in the NFL, that's not because of their quarterback, right? That's because of the combination of their running backs and, let's be honest, Debo Samuel. Samuel, let's throw.
And Kyle, too, I think, is obviously the big one.
And George Kittle, obviously, for the red zone talk. But that is probably everything. We just named all of the offense besides their quarterback.
And didn't even talk about the fact that their best player might be their left tackle, right?
Yeah.
So we talk about the Cowboys trying to get after them, trying to get into Jimmy G's face, but you've kind of got a problem on that left side. I know you're not going to win that matchup. Maybe you get a snap on Trent Williams, but I'd expect the Cowboys to overload the right side of the field. That's when we're going to see Michael Parsons coming off that edge more often. And I think that's how they're going to try and get after Jimmy G. That's kind of the idea that the Cowboys are going to want to do on defense to get after that potent 49ers offensive attack.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Cowboys are going to have to flip the script. If they allow, a slower paced game, I think the 49ers can really beat the Cowboys out physically.
I agree. Yep. And I think both of these teams can kind of grind it out if they need to. Obviously, the Cowboys have been known they don't want to lean on Zeke anymore. But with that defensive line kind of coming into their own this year, you have and with Micah Parsons kind of setting that tone, you can grind it out. But I also think that we know how explosive these offenses are that you really could get either way of the game. You could see them try and grind it out, and maybe that does lean to the 49ers. But I still think the Cowboys have a path to victory in that tough game. And I could also see a high explosion offensive game where both teams are just putting up points nonstop. And I think that the Cowboys would, prefer that. And I think they're a little more favored in that situation. But the 49ers, like we talked about, have the tools to put up those points.
I think Kyle Shanahan's spending a lot of time having fun drawing up plays to confuse Trayvon Diggs.
Yeah,
well, it's not that hard, so.
Well, and that's actually where I was going to go. Now, the 49ers get Elijah Mitchell back, and give credit to Kyle because he was all over that in his big board. Plug a Kyle's big board really quick. All over Elijah Mitchell coming back for the 49ers. Does that allow Kyle Shanahan to put Deebo Samuel back out wide, not put him in the backfield as much, and now go attack Trayvon Diggs? I have the wide receiver who's fourth best in the league in terms of receiving yards, and he spends 30% of the time in the backfield.
Exactly.
Imagine if he spends most of that time out wide, and now against the cornerback who's given, I'll say it again, up 1,000 yards. One cornerback is giving up 1,000 yards. Why not match up one of the guys who's gotten the most receiving yards up against him all game? Make sure you find him in matchups and exploit that. Is that something that Kyle Shanahan can do?
And I expect Kyle to do it. Kyle's very well versed in exploiting matchups and getting one-on-one opportunities that he likes. I wouldn't be surprised to see Kyle try and get George some one-on-one looks on guys. But the issue is with Trayvon, we do talk about, this dude was getting, got cooked for 1,000 yards. But we also talk about the ball skills and the threat he is to throw it to him. The Cowboys secondary in general is not going to cover great, right? So I just don't think that it's necessarily we just have to get Deebo in these one-on-ones with Trayvon. I think they're just going to try and get Deebo their one-on-one with anyone because there's nobody on that defense that can stick him.
Right. Very true. Matt?
I think it's going to come down to, not just come down to, but Dak's been so inconsistent.
Obviously, it comes down to Dak, right?
Right? I think people are getting clouded about how great he played the last 4 weeks. He didn't play that great against the Cardinals. The Eagles game doesn't count because he was playing against our practice squad guys.
Right.
He played great against Washington.
Played amazing.
But I don't think he'll explode. I think he'll be fine. Yeah. And I think that makes it 50-50 on whether that's good enough for them to win.
I was about to say, him just being fine doesn't give me a whole
fine
lot
Dak
of
is not that much better than Jimmy G.
That doesn't make the Cowboys that much better than the 49ers. I think
I agree.
For obvious reasons, the Cowboys are an upset.
And that's the big thing, like we talked about. It really is just going to come down to what Dak are we getting? Are we getting, MVP level Dak? He's going to throw for 450 and 4 on them, or are we just going to get a normal 280, 2 touchdowns, maybe a turnover? You don't know. And if Dak gives you that, Jimmy G is enough to put you in a spot to win, for sure.
All right, we'll move on to the next one. We have one more upset alert, and Matt V. Can you guess which one it is? It's not the scrappy Raiders going up against the Bengals. No,
I'm going to go ahead and say it's not the Steelers.
It's not the Steelers going to KC.
One more.
I spend a show with 3 colleagues who are all Eagles fans. I'm a Buccaneers fan. Guess which game that they pegged is upset alert?
I guess the Eagles. I guess the Birds.
I'll give you a guess about which team they think is going to come in to the defending world champion's house and upset them. That's what they think.
The first home playoff game Tampa Bay's had since 2007. If you don't count the Super Bowl.
I was going to say, does the Super Bowl count?
Thank you. The World Championship.
Well, that wasn't a home game. That was just a game in their home stadium. A home game, you season ticket holders get the tickets to it, part of their plan.
Look at you trying to spin this any way you want to. But
what happened in their last home game?
I'll let you try.
At the playoffs, do we know?
They lost to the Giants, first Giants Super Bowl. They had Jeff Garcia that year.
That don't count.
Super Bowl. Anyway, I'll let you go ahead and try to spin this about how you think the Eagles are going to upset
So
the Bucs.
you can
knock it all
if
down.
you want to be a football fan, you can be two things. You can be the analytical, look at the fact that the Eagles run a soft zone defense and Brady eats soft zone defenses for lunch. It's his favorite thing to look at.
Brunch.
Everything shows that Brady's looking at Gannon's defense and thinking, "Oh, there I can do it. There I can do it. There I can do it. There I can do it." Or you can have fun and be a fan and talk yourself into the fact
I thought I was going somewhere else.
We're one of the best run offenses in a long time. I don't care that
you.
No, in a long time. No, I think the Eagles this year were the best running offense.
So first time since the '85 Bears with
shout out Ron Rivera.
7 straight 150-yard rushing games, and that team had Walter Payton.
Yeah, true.
So we had.
What are you trying to say about Miles Sanders?
Yeah, he doesn't have a touchdown. He's our leading rusher.
Oh wow, yeah, I forgot that.
But I know Levante David's probably going to be back, and that's a big difference. Bucs allow 5 yards per carry when he's not playing compared to 4 when he is. But I'll take the Eagles' offensive line over any single unit in the rest of the NFC that doesn't count quarterback. And the fact, Jason Kelce, Hall of Famer, Lane Johnson, unbelievable. Mailata, unbelievable.
I will say right now on straight facts.
Let him go.
Lane is a Hall of Famer, though. I do want to lock that in right now.
I think the roids make it a little tough.
You got to let him get it all out, though. You got to let him.
So long ago.
Go ahead. I
totally forgot about that.
I don't want to go ahead. Get it all. You got to get it all out.
Mailata's really good for where he's not like.
Sure, I agree.
He isn't a Pro Bowl.
I think Eagle fans love
him. Yeah. He's not like an All Pro, but he's
definitely good for a rugby player.
He's an 8 out of 10. He's an 8 out of 10 left tackle, and Kelce kind of mans the guards in the middle, takes basically Herbig and their kind of flaws and hides them.
Yeah.
And
which you need centers.
I really think, because I'm going to be the deluded fan, all you need is one. The line's too high. I think the line should be 6, not 8.5. Just objectively speaking, I think it's going to be kind of low scoring. The Bucs only won by 6 last time, and the Eagles were playing much worse football. And there was a bad taunting penalty that cost the Eagles a chance to get the ball back at the end. But anyway, all you need is one fluke turnover, a fumbled punt, a tipped interception, and the Eagles can win the game. And because I'm going to be the homer, that's going to happen, and the Eagles are going to win a squeaker.
Before I even get started, I do think it's funny that you think this game is separated by one fluke play like that. Like one fluke play gives the Eagles the advantage or gives you the lead or gives you the win somehow, which I don't think that. I think this is separated by more than that, by more than one bounce of the ball going the Eagles' way from them winning. 2, getting Levante David back is just a microcosm of what's happening on our team. Now, I get the Chris Godwin injury and the Antonio Brown thing is bad on the offensive side. I'm not even yet. Now he wants to apologize. Whatever.
It was like it might have been a bad idea.
Whatever. But that's a microcosm of our defense getting back to full strength. Levante David is back there now. Jason Pierre-Paul is back.
What's wild about Levante David being back is that Devin White plays unbelievably better when Levante David is there too.
And that's such a great point, Matt, because I don't know when the narrative started that Devin White is the best linebacker on the Bucs. It started at some point last year on their Super Bowl run
because he's the most explosive.
I think, and he was drafted 5th overall, right? I think it's just
and the Super Bowl was his game.
He played phenomenal.
So that was the national spotlight game that he got.
Yeah.
So I get that.
And so, but leading up to it, people were talking about that, and it's just wild to me how there's such an obvious difference, in not just the Tampa Bay Buccaneers' entire defensive play with Levante off the field, but Devin White in general. You can obviously see how much better White is when Levante's running the entire defense. So I apologize, but that was just a little.
It's good. It's good.
It really.
I don't want to get away from this game, though.
No, absolutely.
I definitely don't want to get away all this in the context of this game because, here's really what I see. I see a lot of people talking about what we don't have in Antonio Brown and Chris Godwin and forgetting about what we do have. I named about all the sides of the defense. We also still have 2 of maybe the top 5 red zone targets or red zone threats in the NFL and Mike Evans and Rob Gronkowski. And oh, by the way, the best quarterback of all time throwing to both of them, who has an amazing and established rapport with Gronkowski, but with also with Mike Evans. The only really, really newcomer on the offense that we have to get adapted is Cyril Grayson. Everybody else has been there. Don't forget that Scotty Miller had 2 huge touchdowns in the playoffs last
Bowling
year.
Green legend.
Don't forget that Tyler Johnson had 2 huge plays in the playoffs last year. That whole offense is still there. Cam Brate had a big part in the Super Bowl. Like he's still there. So that the rest of the offense, all that stuff is still intact, and there's still motion to go on offense. Leonard Fournette returned to practice on Wednesday too. He's gonna come back and help that run game. Like
Couldn't help me in my damn fantasy playoffs.
but
so.
the weapons are still there. So I get the easy thing to do, especially if you're an Eagles fan. I do this too if I was the underdog, is I'd focus on what's not there. Because those holes is what you can exploit, that's what you can get over on the Bucs. But where you're going to have trouble, and I don't see you stopping, is what people haven't been able to stop all season. And that's but like the train that gets rolling, especially when we get inside the red zone. Like there's still so much of our team that's still intact. I'm not going to say I'm not worried, because I have to give the Eagles their respect of being one of the best teams probably in football just down the stretch. Just the number of games they won at the end of the season, getting hot. And being able to run the football well and control the pace of the game in the playoffs, that's going to be huge. You got to keep Brady on the sideline with your offense. Let's see if you can execute it. But you got to keep Brady on your sideline. But you got to be able to do that for 4 quarters. And then when Tom at some point adjusts mid-game, you got to be able to do it too. I just don't see the Eagles doing that. And then my last point is a bunch of people talking about, oh, I wouldn't want to see the Eagles. I wouldn't want to see the Eagles. I look at the rest of the teams that the Buccaneers could have played. You talk about the 49ers. Experience. This 3 years ago, they were in a Super Bowl. You could have played, a team like the Cardinals eventually. Mm-hmm. A high-powered, explosive offense, so many weapons on there. Or I could play the Eagles. Give me the first-year head coach and first-year starting quarterback to play in the playoffs against the most experienced playoff quarterback of all time. Give me that team. Give me the first-year team. I'll gladly take the people who don't know what they're doing.
Look at the quarterbacks that Brady has lost in the playoffs. Most of them are not that good.
Sure.
So you got. That's why Taylor Heineke's actually great. That's why they lost.
Right. You got Ryan Tannehill. You got Nick Foles.
Tough.
You got the corpse of Peyton Manning.
But Nick Foles was so good at the time. Like in the Super Bowl, Nick Foles was great. I don't know.
Joe Flacco.
Again,
Mark Sanchez. Joe Flacco twice. Mark Sanchez. Eli Manning twice.
AFC Championship appearance.
I mean, he lost to all these quarterbacks when it
he never lost to Ben Roethlisberger. He never lost to Phillip Rivers. He never lost to Aaron Rodgers.
He never lost to the Steelers or the Chargers.
That's funny.
That is funny. But what are you trying to sell me on by saying
lost to Peyton Manning?
I'm saying just because the quarterback matchup is such a mismatch doesn't mean it's an insurmountable mountain.
Sure, but I didn't invoke Jalen Hurts' name in the.
No, but you don't have to. But you don't have to.
That's what I'm saying. I don't need to do that. Yeah. My point is experience, and we talk about all the time. The playoffs, especially in the NFL, is an experienced man's game. Give me. You want to talk about a fluke play happening?
That's what I'm saying.
Who's more likely to make that fluke play? You're talking about for us. You're more likely to make that. I saw on the first play of the game this year a ball fly over Jalen Hurts' head to start the game.
I saw the first play of the game bounce off Dallas Goedert's heel for a pick.
That didn't happen to us. That never happened to us this year.
Actually, Washington became the first team in the 2020s to pick off Tom Brady twice in the first half.
There you go. I mean, hey, and you are the reason I will never take a wild card for it.
Exactly.
For as long as I have this luxury of being a good team, I'll never take a wild card game lately. Because you best believe I was looking forward to the Saints the next week already. Here goes Taylor Heineke, had me sweating in the third quarter. So I will give you guys.
Technically, they weren't a wild card. You were the wild card.
That's gross. But it's the same thing. I will never take an opponent lately.
Especially in the postseason.
But that does not mean I'm scared. It does not mean I'm worried. You are an underdog for a reason.
I agree. And I think when we're talking about I wouldn't want to pick the Eagles. I do agree with you that if I had to, play against a team in the NFC specifically, I would pick the Eagles over anyone else just because, I don't know. The Rams have been playing so bad lately. But the
Cardinals have been playing poor too.
I know, but I don't want to face Kyler in the playoffs. Like that just scares me.
Just comparatively so.
So my issue,
I'd rather face the Eagles.
Yeah, I would too, and I would too. And like you said, the especially for the Bucs though, I think the Bucs pulled their best matchup, which is the issue because we talk about the Eagles' amazing run offense and how great they've been, and they're the best run offense since 1985, and they are. Jeff Stoutland's arguably the best assistant coach in the NFL. And that offensive line is phenomenal. And the running backs are talented enough to get it done. Jalen Hurts is obviously arguably the second or third best running quarterback in the NFL. But the Bucs have that elite run defense, right? I think they're first this year. I believe they were first last year. I could be mistaken.
They're not first this year.
They're not first. I think they're like fifth this year. Or
If you think
like
Levante was healthy the whole year, where do you think they finished?
They probably finished top 3.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So
Yeah, but how healthy is Levante?
we'll see. But I think a lot of Levante's value is coming from just being there. Right. Just
because our O-line is healthy.
Right.
And excellent.
I was about to say, but he's probably about as healthy, maybe a little less healthy than most people are at this time of the year. Like I get he's coming back.
And I don't think Levante's going.
And you also have to remember our end of the year stretch with Carolina, the New York Jets, and Carolina. So like if there's ever a time for me to tell Levante, hey, like get bro. Right, yeah, we're cool.
We're good.
We got even if we give up a little more yards than we normally do, we're cool. If we lose to Carolina,
especially in that division,
or the Jets, at some point at the end of the year, we're not the team I thought we were to be. So you're cool. So I think him returning now at the beginning of the week or middle of the week instead of very end of late end of the week is good. He's going to have this and then 2 more complete days of practice, just like Leonard Fournette, just like Carlton Davis as well. So
which is big. I think Carlton Davis is big, but player to watch, my number one person that's going to impact the game besides Levante, Vita Vea. That's
contract extension, money man,
biggest one. Yeah, John Allen got his first, but Vita Vea.
And here's the thing. Here's the thing. We have Todd Bowles has adopted the Belichick mindset. I want to give all the credit to Belichick, but has the mindset of your biggest strength, we take it away. And we have one of the best nose guards in the NFL. If we have the ability to just halt the Eagles' run, give us the first half of the Eagles not running the ball well. There goes our stretch. I don't think you guys know what to do if you go back to.
If you have to play from behind, I definitely don't think the Eagles have
prior to the first. The last
I think
weeks.
I do think if the Eagles win, it's going to be touchdown early, get ahead, and then pound, get after it. That's the path to victory. I don't necessarily think it's gonna if that fluke play happened to keep them in ahead.
You have to play your best game for 4 complete.
Tampa has to play bad
because don't get hype after a 10-point lead in the late in the third quarter or a 17-point lead. You know what I mean? Like don't get content and leave your foot off the gas pedal. Like you have to play your best football for 60 minutes to beat us. You really ready to handle that? You really ready to do that? 60 minutes, complete no flaws, no shooting yourselves in the foot, no head scratching play calls. Are you ready to do that? Because that's a lot. That's a lot, man.
I don't think we need to be perfect. We just need to be very good.
First year head coach, first year play caller, first year quarterback. Like it's a lot, man. I don't know.
Okay, so here's a stat that you can look at in 2 ways. One's a homer away, one's a legit way.
We got to move on. But go ahead. I'll give you a last.
So the Eagles are 31st in the NFL in sacks, but they're 4th in the NFL in pass rush win rate. The homer in me wants to say, oh, it's due they're going to get sacks. The realist in me says, oh, that's because Cox and Hargraves get pressure up the middle, then the quarterbacks feast on our poor linebacking play.
You know what beats
before they get sacked.
You know what beats that? Having the quickest snap to release time in the NFL. Who still got that? I don't know if he's number 1, but he's still up there. Tom Brady.
I would imagine.
Will always be up there. All right. So I'm gonna guess you're actually stamping the Eagles to win this game.
You have a score?
24-21.
And it's low scoring.
I think if the Eagles win, it's going to be even lower scoring.
I think it's got to be
13-10
because there won't be a lot of possessions. It'll be 8-minute drives.
If the Eagles win, it's going to be an ugly
But is that
game.
realistic? Like you actually,
that's how we win.
That's how the Eagles win. But you actually see that happening. That's my point.
I don't know. Isn't that how Tom lost against Tennessee?
That's how I guess how it's
theoretically it's possible, right? Like theoretically, I would imagine that
any team in the playoffs can win.
That's what I'm saying. There's no bad team.
I also like Slay against Evans. The fact that Godwin's out and we have Slay to cover Evans, I think that works.
I think that's a decent matchup for Slay. I agree. I think that makes sense.
I agree. I'll go with if you want to give me a score, I'll go with the Buccaneers 28-20.
More respect than I thought you'd give. You got the Eagles covering.
Oh no, you will score. You will.
I think the Eagles have a shot to cover.
Yeah, you will. You will score on us. Our defense is not lights out. And who knows? We flipped a switch when the playoffs started last year, but we're not playing lights out.
I thought you were gonna go 35 to 17 or something.
No, it's because now play us next round or the round after. We're in the 30s because it's the first round. I'm giving us high 20s. You're the tiebreaker here, Matt V.
I'm gonna take Tampa 24-17.
Kind of around the same score.
Give me the. Do you have the over under on that game? I have no idea, but
I have no idea.
I don't imagine it'll be
that's
a high scoring game.
That's stat match department.
My bad.
I got my people.
I just don't anticipate. I just don't think the game. Also, Wildcard Weekend
48.
games historically.
I was going to say probably 50.
Yeah, give me the under. I just don't anticipate a big offensive explosion from either team. I think both of them are competent defensively. I think they're both a little undermanned in the passing game, so relative to what they could be.
Right. Really quick, we didn't pick the 49ers or Cowboys either. Stat Matt, 49ers or Cowboys?
49ers 31-27.
Okay, I'm not going to give a score every time. I'm not going that deep, but you got the 49ers over the Cowboys.
I'll take the Cowboys 34-28, I guess.
I do still think the Cowboys win this. But I think it's really close. I think it's 27-24 Cowboys.
Sure.
Is what I'm seeing. All right, we're gonna move on now because there's a whole. We spent a lot of time, obviously, as we would on that Buccaneers Eagles game. But obviously, there's so many more games in this Super Wildcard Weekend. For the first time ever, we'll have Monday night games too. We're gonna go on. We're all gonna each pick. We might not be able to get to all of them. But we're all gonna each pick one game that we're really looking forward to seeing. Stat Matt, what's a game in Wildcard Weekend that other than these two you're really looking forward to seeing?
I really want to see Bills Pats.
Crazy, right?
Because
like that's beautiful that we got that again.
Because it's so emotional for the Bills it's so important for the Bills to
knock
win
them out. That would be some crazy.
It's been the bane of their existence for 20 years. The Patriots
in Buffalo. Could you imagine?
And it's their first real home playoff game in a long time because it was a limited capacity stands last year. So they're playing the team that's been their bugaboo their whole life. So if you're our age, essentially.
Good word,
and,
by the way. I like that word.
SET word.
And you avenged the loss earlier by Josh Allen playing out of his mind. And you really should not lose to Mac Jones.
But if they lose
in the hurricane,
no. I'm saying in the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree.
Rookie quarterback on the road in the playoffs against the team that gives up the lowest passer rating to opposing quarterbacks. You can't lose that game.
Yeah, Mac Jones.
But Buffalo seems like a team that, against all odds, will lose.
Especially because some teams just got your number. See? But Mac Jones, 79.8 passer rating in the last 5 starts, 6 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, right as people were starting to sing his praise.
And that's boosted by him playing really well against a horrible Jacksonville team.
Yeah, and here's the thing, though. Here's the thing, though, before you go, Matt V. If and when the Bills lose to the Patriots, and when I say when, I mean in the past, too, when they have lost to the Patriots, have they lost to Mac Jones?
No, that's the thing.
They haven't lost to Mac Jones. They've lost to a guy who's going to do his job. Who doesn't have to line up against somebody else and beat somebody else in a face-to-face matchup. So Bill Belichick is going to do his job every game. That's who the Bills lose to. They don't lose to Mac Jones. I don't see Bill Belichick not executing on Sunday or on Saturday whenever they play.
I agree. That's why
I don't see them not executing. I really don't.
That's why I think the Bills have that chance to lose, right? Like I think that they should win. I think everything leads me to believe that the Bills will win, especially when you have such a stark quarterback difference. Like we talked about with Jalen Tom, there's such a massive separation between what Jalen can do with his legs that he kind of alleviates some of the difference that Tom presents over him in terms of just quarterback quality. Mac does not have any tool like that. And Mac is, Bill brought him in to be what he needs him to be. And so when the going gets tough, right, we see Josh Allen go, okay, I need to go make this play. I'm going to go make this play. I just struggle to see Mac doing that in grind time, at least in this first year.
Yes, but I'm very pessimistic on the Bills right now.
Sure.
And it's crazy because, they're winners of 4 straight going into the playoffs, but they've been a shaky team to me all season. To me,
they've been the most inconsistent team in the NFL all season.
And it's been frustrating to me. I wouldn't have, coming into the season, I wouldn't have been surprised that at this point, if they were the number 1 seed.
Best team in the league.
Not in the league, right? Not just in the AFC. In the league.
Last time I was here, I'm pretty sure we talked about that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they were the best team in the league at the time.
And it started to, as the latter part of the season came, they started to overcome the inconsistencies of Josh Allen by their defense becoming one of the best defenses in the league, even despite losing Trey White, which I just did not see, what I didn't think was possible, losing one of the best players on their defense. But now their defense has stepped up number 1 in both passing yards allowed and passing TDs allowed, have given up the fewest points in the league, including 2 shutouts this season. And that's been great. Me and Kyle and his big board talked about how their defense has been, tremendous.
Mhm.
But that's not the identity of the Bills. It never will be the identity of the Bills. So even if they happen to squeak this one out just because talent-wise they're so much better than the Patriots, because their defense is so good, I don't see them going deep into the playoffs because they won't. You don't win in the playoffs by your primary way of winning, your identity, not executing well.
Yep.
You don't win in your secondary ways of winning. Their defense isn't going to win them games.
You've got to win with your number.
You got to win with Josh Allen.
For me, I'm really high on the Bills going into this playoffs. Other than like their history is the only reason I was being kind of cheeky about that. Because
something to be said.
When they were down, was it 21 or 17 to Tampa? And I was like, oh my God, what happened to this Bills team? And then they came all the way back. They lost in overtime. But then after that, they've won 4 straight. Something happened in that halftime where the Bills got their crap together and have played really good football. They've won every game by at least 2 scores. They've been dominant. And I really think I think they're the second best team in the AFC. I'd take them over Tennessee if they played them in the second round. Really? And I actually think
you're taking them. And are you taking Chiefs as number
1? Yeah,
one?
Chiefs. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think like if I'll do a pick and a score. I think they actually win kind of easily. I think it's like a 21-6 kind of game.
You think the Bills hold him to 6?
Mac Jones has been I think he hit a rookie wall.
But that's not what I'm questioning. I haven't seen anything that says Josh Allen can move the ball against Bill Belichick. Like I've seen nothing. I don't.
You didn't watch the game the other week.
That's true. But I don't know. When the stage gets bigger, like
we gonna see.
Yeah, we gonna see. That's the boogeyman over here.
30 of 47, 314, 3 touchdowns, 12 rushes, 64 yards in a must-win game for the division.
Right.
In Foxborough.
Good game.
There's like
conditions mean a lot. Conditions mean a lot in this game. What are the? I'm serious.
It's going to be freezing. And there's an anti-Josh Allen stat with that where he has a 50% completion percentage in games that start with a kickoff below 32 degrees.
Which is kind of interesting because he played at
Wyoming.
That's his completion percentage, though. What else? No. Wyoming don't have the money.
Well, North Dakota State has the money to do a dome.
I don't think Wyoming has a dome. I could be wrong. But is he?
It's a small sample. It's 5 games.
Besides, and the completion percentage too. Like, is he? You can theoretically have a good game with like a 55% completion percentage, right? But I just think, I don't know. I'm a big believer in the importance of quarterback play in the playoffs, and I just think that you're guaranteed to get something out of Josh Allen, and you're not guaranteed to get anything out of Mac Jones. Mm-hmm. And that's so even if Bill does put on a clinic, I think a Bill clinic against Josh Allen still loses to a Buffalo Bills clinic against Mac Jones.
Yeah. I kind of see it's funny. I say all that, but I do see the Bills beating the Patriots, just, talent disparity. Mm-hmm. But I think Bill Belichick has a good game against Josh Allen.
See it, yeah.
I can kind of see them winning the same way the Patriots won that 13-10 game. Hey, it's going to be real ugly, but someone at the end of the game is going to have to make a play, and that's where I agree with you guys. I mean, Josh Allen's going to make a play over Mac Jones. Yeah. But, it's going to be close enough to where you're like, hey, man, if, the Patriots are the last person to have the ball, we could see something.
Who knows?
But I think sure will, and we talked about the narrative of it, man. Like, if there was a team, like if there was a team for the Bills to beat to get over the playoff, hurdle at home, it's
and maybe that's all they need. Maybe it's beating the Patriots kind of lets them know, hey, we've arrived, because that's what it is, right? The Bills are this team that was for so long the bottom of the league, was just a kind of bottom barrel, scraper, and so that's the unlock into they are an actual elite team in the NFL now. So who knows?
The monkey off their back to get big.
Exactly.
Brother. All right, official picks.
21-6 Bills.
There, you said that. Go ahead.
I'm going to take the Bills, but it'll be a closer game. I think it'll be like 17-13 or something.
Yeah, Bills 16-10. That's what I'm feeling.
Hella field goals.
Hella field goals. All right, we'll move to what I think is going to be the most exciting one. I'm going to go next, and that's going to be the Raiders at the Bengals. I'm doing a little victory lap. Matt, you weren't here. You weren't there last week. Me, Kyle, Jake, and myself were on an episode. We talked about the final week of the NFL season. I highlighted these Raiders. They said they had no chance to beat the Chargers. And I said, look at how scrappy, look how determined, look how just mentally tough this Raiders team is. 3 crazy scandals to go out through the season. You got one game against your division rival at home to get you into the playoffs, and you win a crazy one.
Insane.
You almost choke it.
You
Like
almost choke it away.
times.
You almost choke it away. Then you almost succumb to a tie.
She
then-
almost played for the tie,
And I was saying-
and then they didn't want to.
And then the Chargers called a timeout, so you change your mind, and then you go and win the game. So anyway, I say all of this because that was an exciting game, and they're still not even the most exciting team to me in this AFC playoffs, and that's the team that they're playing, the Cincinnati Bengals, who, man, like, that's your victory lap, Matt V. That's your victory lap. Shout out here.
Shout out Joe.
Week 3, week 4, something like that, and said I'll stamp the Bengals
there
as a playoff team.
I thought they'd be the 7th seed.
Yeah,
They got the division.
They are division winners, man. So let's talk about this one. Raiders at Bengals. That's gonna be a great one.
I'm about to stat mat this up because I saw something
Stat mat
crazy
this
earlier.
up, man.
I know. I agree. This is probably my.
Here's an exciting stat.
Yes.
Joe Burrow has.
Okay,
is it the 40 plus yard play?
I don't know. Go ahead.
He has more 40 plus yard plays than Mahomes and Brady combined.
I did not know that. That's crazy.
What? Like career?
This year.
Oh, okay.
Career.
Yeah. Well, Brady, that was stupid. That was stupid.
Yeah.
Of course not for career. But I mean, is that a symbol that he's clicking at the right time and clicking with his best receiver, right? Like Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow are just lighting it up for the Bengals right now. Jamar Chase is skyrocketing himself into. I can't imagine anyone else getting off.
It's got to be. Now, I would, if I had a vote, I would vote for Creed Humphrey, center out of Kansas City. Just want to get my lineman love out there.
That's true. That's true. Big man
but
balling. Big man
I
balling.
do recognize that Jamar is bald. I was wrong on Jamar. Not necessarily wrong. I still had him as a first-round pick, but I did not have him as wide receiver 1, and he's been phenomenal this year. So shout out Jamar. He's going to get that hardware, and he deserves it, but just want to throw one out there for the big dog.
How about Joe Burrow in, we'll call it, have to have it game?
Is this
his
the
career?
Yeah, this is the one.
Orlovsky's
big game Joe in his career, right? All these must-have-it games. And 2019 LSU, the SEC title game, Oklahoma semifinal, Clemson, the Natty game, and then the Bengals and the Ravens week 16 to win the division. The Chiefs in week 17, the impressive win in those games. 6-0. What is this? 2,600 yards. That's 444 yards a game.
Jay-Z.
27 touchdowns, 0 picks.
Joe Cool.
That's big game Joe, man. These are all, we'll call it have to have them games.
So
big game Joe, man. He comes and steps up, and he's
like nobody.
If he does it again, the Bengals go to the divisional round of the playoffs.
If he does it again, I think we will start having the conversation at the beginning of next year that Joe does challenge Justin Herbert for the best quarterback in that class. Because
I get that Justin Herbert had a wild game.
Theoretically,
but
right
challenges
now
is a word. Challenges, like he could challenge him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
For sure.
He could be better.
Easily.
It would not shock me at all if in 5 years Burrow's definitely a better quarterback than Herbert.
I would. It definitely would shock me if Burrow's got more team success, because I do think that not to compare in a 1-to-1 way, but Joe's mindset when things aren't going right, the ability to play calm, and everyone talks about this. This isn't something new. This is what we talked about, made him so special coming out of LSU. It really is reminiscent of like Tom and the greats, where things are crashing down behind you, everything's on the line, and you go play your best ball at that moment. Yeah, that killer instinct is, and that's something that you can't scout. That's not something you can really evaluate. You can pull up the stats and be like, okay, well, we saw him and that's it. It's, does he perform or doesn't he? There's no, oh, well, we think he's going to perform in big games. You don't know until it happens, and Joe's proven that it happens.
Every single time.
So if we get 445 and 4 from Joe again and zero interceptions, it's,
I don't know what
this is maybe the best clutch quarterback in the
NFL. I don't know what team that doesn't beat. I don't know, to be honest, I don't know what team that doesn't beat if you put those.
That's what I'm saying.
So the Fiesta Bowl, if you want to add another Joe Burrow game. So this was his coming out party.
This was the last game of the year before he got right against UCF.
21 of 34-3, 94 touchdowns, 1 pick.
Yep, I remember
against UCF.
If you desire the Fiesta Bowl, that's a have to have a game. If you crave the Fiesta Bowl, then sure. Let's put
and
it
when
in
you're
there.
Joe Burrow, that is a have to have a game at the time, because this was not a dude who was about to get drafted.
Well, let's talk about you want to put the offensive line on notice, because we've been big here on Straight Facts about talking about at some point, and I kind of still think it, at some point the struggles at offensive line, 100%. The lack of protection is going to bite them.
And it has already. We saw last year.
In the butt at some point. But despite blitzing the fewest in the NFL this season, the Raiders are 8th in the NFL in QB pressure rate. So at some point, that dam is going to break. Is this the game that it breaks? Because they're great up until this point of negating all that.
Yeah, I think it's valid.
And that 40-plus yard play stat, the plays that him and Jamar Chase have been making and T. Higgins, they've been negating this. But in the playoffs, stuff becomes much more tactical. Is this the week that
the Raiders have the players for sure? When you're talking about a pass rush duo of Max Crosby and Yannick Ngakoue, in terms of just like production this year, are right up there with anybody, right? So in terms of just constantly getting after the passer this year with consistently, it's those two guys in a field of other duos, right? And so I do think that the Raiders have the talent. There's some interior guys who can push the pocket a little bit, but it's really going to come down to that edge, and that's what you're going to want to win on anyways. And so I could definitely see Max Crosby and Yannick Ngakoue giving Joe absolute hell the entire game. Now, does it matter? That's what we're going to find out, right? Because so far, Joe's shown that it doesn't matter what you come at him with. He's going to make it work, and we'll see. And I don't necessarily think the Raiders' defense or pass rush is insanely better than the Chiefs or the Ravens, who they've beaten in the past, 2 have-to-have-it games. So we'll see. But I do think the Raiders are talented enough on the defensive end, especially in that edge rush duo, to force the Bengals to have to, fix and adjust some things and recognize that, it is a problem.
Right. We'll get to picks in a second. I think this is the game that it gets highlighted to everyone badly. I think the Bengals still come out with the victory, but I think at the end of the game, everyone comes out of it and says like, hey, man, like the offensive line's a problem. And then I think it looks really, really bad the next round, whoever they do play. But I do think they're good enough, and their defense is playing well enough, forced like 12 turnovers in the last 8 games, playing well enough to hold the Raiders enough for the Bengals to take control.
I think this is a high-scoring game because I think Darren Waller goes nuts. I think Hunter Renfrow goes nuts, or at least one of the two. And I just think it's a barn burner, and I pick Burrow over Carr.
All right, go ahead. Picks and score.
35-31 Bengals.
I'll do 30. I'll go 30-27. Last second field goal, Evan McPherson for the dub.
So Bengals?
Yeah.
I'll go 34-30 in favor of the Bengals.
Cincinnati. Ooh, but the Raiders are about to win now.
That's the age-old sweep on the panel. But, I mean, we give the Raiders a whole lot of, just in our scoring, give the Raiders a whole lot of credit, as we should, man. But,
they deserve with the way that Derek Carr and that team has overcome quite a bit this year. To get here is a testament in itself. And I do think that they have the chance, right? I do think that they have the ability to beat this team. I just don't anticipate them to.
Also happy for Derek Carr. It's first ever playoff game for him because he broke his leg when he had that really good year 5 years ago.
Yeah, when he got an MVP vote.
It feels like an eternity, right? That we were talking about, this guy might be MVP. And then,
that MVP vote, it's still more than Russell Wilson has.
That's wow.
They had to start Connor Cook in the playoffs.
Yeah, I remember that. That was crazy.
Nuts. All right, we're going to move on. I'll mention the Steelers and the Chiefs. There you go. I just mentioned the Steelers.
I'll say this. They need 2 strip sack TJ Watt touchdowns to win.
Sure.
They need 2. Not 1. They need 2.
Sure.
And some more.
Some more. To be honest, I don't want to disrespect anybody, but the Chiefs will win this game. They will win it.
I would lock it.
They will win it handedly. Ben Roethlisberger, if you want any proof that the Chiefs got no problem in this game, watch Ben Roethlisberger's press conference from Wednesday. Go ahead.
We're going to go out and have fun.
I'm telling you.
He's coaching the Little Giants.
I'm telling you, he was rooting for the tie. He didn't want to play anymore.
He was done.
He was like, I'm good. I'm good.
When the Jaguars beat the Colts, he's like, you've got to be kidding me.
I got to go to Kansas City.
He said, I needed you to beat the Jaguars so I can just ride off in the sunset. Now I got to go to Kansas City in January.
Get blown out.
Let's just go have fun.
Last career game.
Anyway, Chiefs by 1 million. We'll move to the last one. I could do is do you a favor by asking you what game do you want to highlight? But there's only one game.
Yeah, I was gonna say. My favorite game is probably the Bengals or Raiders game that we talked about. Right. But I'm just excited for playoffs.
You just excited for playoffs. All right, so we'll go to the last one then. Cardinals and Rams on Sunday night. The team split in the regular season. Kind of opposite expectations
Yep.
of when either one was, people thought each one was going to win. But they've been
Which
good.
makes sense.
Cardinals won 34-20 in week 4. Rams won 30-23 in week 14. So now they meet again, and a theme here. We get a divisional matchup in the playoffs again. So
It's a stock going down game. That's what it is.
Uh-oh.
Both of their stocks are going down.
yeah,
They're both happy.
And they're both lucky that because they were both dead in the water playoff teams and they're playing each other.
Yeah, exactly.
So one of them's gonna get a win. I guess I pick Arizona because I just think Stafford's playing so
it's weird.
poorly.
It's like a toss-up game in the playoffs. It's weird.
Yeah, Stafford's just playing so poorly, and I'd rather Arizona win because I like Ertz. So
I respect it.
Sure, right.
We all got opinions.
As candid as possible.
It's just like this would be really. I'd be really if someone told me like 5 weeks ago this would be a playoff match. I was like, oh, it's gonna be a great game. Now it's just like
what's gonna happen?
Yeah,
it could be a great game. Who knows?
Both teams are struggling.
Man, I really wish Hopkins was healthy.
Yeah.
That's what sucks.
My point. Both teams are struggling. The Cardinals are struggling more, and it's because they don't have DeAndre Hopkins. 30 to 35 points a game with Nuke, and then ever since 21 points per game. And Kyler, it was a question if Kyler Murray could do it without him. He can't. He does not look the same without DeAndre Hopkins.
It's that drop off is pretty big. Like I think AJ Green's numbers went up when Hop got hurt.
He's been dropping so many
passes.
That's
what I'm saying.
Though.
It's just a volume thing. Like your number 2 receiver is going to get more
and
looks when you're
probably the surest hands in the NFL.
That's what. Yeah.
So
and
throw that thing anywhere.
Exactly. It's just so nice to have a like Joe Burrow said, screw it. He's out there somewhere.
Yeah.
He's out there somewhere. And with Nook, it's like that. But it's not just that. It's they've played for 2 years now. And he's such a professional, he's such a phenomenal talent that you also just know, every snap that's exactly where DeAndre Hopkins.
You know what? I'm changing my pick. I think the Rams.
I do think the Rams.
They're healthier.
Exactly.
In the playoffs, if they're
good.
healthier in their home, the only major injury they have is Robert Woods. So and
they've been playing without that.
Yeah, for a while. So I'll go with the Rams.
The Cardinals were hoping.
I put my stock into the Rams going into last week to beat the 49ers. They let me down because the opposite happened. I thought they had a chance to go home and turn into a shootout football team, and that's how they're going to
get ready for the playoffs.
That's how they're going to beat the 49ers. They didn't become that. Stafford struggled again, and they lost. To me, the narrative is still the same. If they come home and become a shootout football team, they win the game. But Matt Stafford has to play well, and it seems like that's what it is now. The defense, for what it's worth, and in the big board, if the audience out there, if you guys go back and reference the big board, I'm down about the Rams defense. And they're actually not playing as bad as I initially thought. Through the past 3-4 weeks of the season, they've been one of the best defenses in the NFL.
And with Stafford playing bad, that indirectly makes it more difficult to play
you know what I mean?
defense.
Put them in bad situations. I've seen that when they've had favorable field position, they're like the best defense in the NFL. So absolutely sure. But they're going to have to play like that, not just in this first round game, but in the playoffs. But if they do that, they might offset some of Matt Stafford's struggles. They might go in and win. But that's their defense has to be there. Like I haven't seen, this was supposed to be the runaway best defense on paper, right? Like
one of them, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you're going into this year. And
they lost. The issue is they lost a lot of pieces in this past offseason. But
Eric Weddle signing was
how about that? I mean, he knows
we'll see. I think they lost Jordan Fuller if I'm not mistaken.
He's not
there are I mean, and we'll see. I don't anticipate Eric Weddle to all of a sudden become 100% snap player, getting signed out of the league after a year. But shout out Eric Weddle.
Shout out, get your
that
bag. Get your bag. Get your bag.
All right, see you win.
Go ahead. We're going picks.
Rams 23, Cardinals 17.
Wow. I don't think it's that low. You're not even giving the Cardinals 20?
17 isn't like horrible. It's just,
but it's like,
meh.
Yeah, right. I mean, but
21 without Nuke, and then they're playing a good defense.
Yeah, right. Only 4 points on the board.
I'm going to take the Cardinals 24-21 because I think that they're going to be able to put Stafford in some uncomfortable situations. And I think I'm going to ride with Kyler today.
I do like the coaching matchup. We've seen it's had 2 really good outcomes.
Yeah.
We've had 2 pretty high-scoring games the first 2 matchups, but one team each time has been the road team has went into the 30s. So I anticipate another high-scoring game again. I'm going to go 30-24 Rams.
Okay.
That's definitely what I think. But going down that's the Super Wildcard Weekend, man. We got
Hype.
Hype, man. Hype. I think the schedule makers I think the NFL did a
100%.
great job with
45
this.
to 10 for the Kansas City Pittsburgh game.
Sure.
Does Ben throw the touchdown?
Yeah,
How
like
does that-
it's like
good for him.
45
Good
to
for him.
3.
Good for
His
him.
last pass. Then he walks off the field.
I'm done.
And
we
cool
see
thing is,
Mason Rudolph walk on
he'll
out.
probably be so content with that. Absolutely.
He's got like 4 interceptions.
It'll be early too. It'll make the game like 17 to 10 or something like that. And he'll be like, hey, put us back in the game.
Halftime, he's like, they've slept on us, and then lose by
Yeah, absolutely, man. All right, we're almost out of time for this episode of Straight Facts. No winners or losers because our guy Kyle's not here. That's his segment. We leave that to him because he does such a great job. But we can always get some shots up at the buzzer. You got anything to say at the buzzer, either one of you?
Enjoy the playoff weekend. It's going to be a good time. For the bettors out there, just so you know, on Wildcard Weekend, unders hit like 75% of the time. So just watch those overs.
I just it's absurd that Brian Flores got fired.
Yeah, can we
Like,
talk about
it's-
it?
We
Can
can
talk
actually,
about it?
let's definitely talk
Can
about
we
it.
talk about it?
It's just another. It's more evidence that just like white coaches get the benefit of the doubt when black coaches don't.
The leash is shorter.
And
100%.
it's like all like Lovie Smith got fired after a 10-6 season. Jim Caldwell got fired after a 9-7 season. And then now Brian Flores gets fired after a 9-8 season. Then they trot out with 24-25. Do you remember that first year of him in Miami? Everyone thought they were going to go 0-16.
Yeah, they were the worst team in the
horrible.
league.
They lost like 44-0 like
That
week
roster
2.
was horrendous.
And
He got them to 5 wins.
Yeah, that
24 and
Ravens game.
25. The most important thing to me is 4-2 against the Patriots. Having a winning record against the Patriots. The team has been sitting at the top of your division.
I think he was
for 2 decades.
strong in the division in general.
Yeah,
against the AFC East.
like 2 straight decades. And it's and you know why the leash is shorter for black NFL coaches, black head coaches just around sports, is that those wins, those good things don't stack up like they do for other coaches. When you talk about the 24 and 25 record, when you talk about being better than the rest of your division against the best team, being 4-2 against the Patriots, you when one good thing happens, you forget the last good thing that happens. They don't stack up. So when you look at the body of work as a whole, you forget all the things he did in the past, and then you look at just what's happening right now. Yes, the Dolphins were terrible, then they were really good, and then they were terrible again. And they ended the season badly. You haven't made the playoffs.
players were playing for him.
The players were playing for
They
you.
were
Haven't-
set.
You haven't made the playoffs in a couple
Now,
of years.
yeah.
Like, you mean Tua's development isn't coming off as it should be. Like
And that's what I think it is.
You're staring at the bad. But I'm sorry, we forget all those good things that we
The
just
Dolphins
mentioned.
have 2 playoff appearances since 2002. The least in the NFL, tied with the Browns. They've been a horrible franchise for a long time, and they fired a guy that had back-to-back winning seasons.
Most
that's-
wins for them
that's-
since like 2000 or since like the 90s. No,
Right, and
as a
that's
head coach.
and that's also a shame. Is like no, I'm sorry, Brian Flores didn't turn your dumpster fire franchise around in 2 seasons.
Yeah.
No,
he didn't take you to the chip.
no,
okay.
he did not do that. He didn't undo the mistakes that 4 or 5 previous coaches and front offices put him in. No, he didn't undo that. I'm sorry. What he did was get the most out of at times a ragtag group of individuals,
and still,
one of them was-
they still haven't given him a great roster, and that's what my issue is.
He was an exciting team with Ryan Fitzpatrick as his quarterback.
So the issue is, I don't blame Miami for thinking they needed to make a move. I don't. I just blame Miami for thinking that GM Chris Greer is the side that you should be attaching your loyalty to, right? Like, I understand if the GM and the head coach don't click, you have to get a relationship that will. And that means whether sitting them down and being, all right, let's be men, let's talk about what these issues are, let's find out how we're going to go win as a team. But I think, Flores did not want Tua. He didn't want to take Tua at 5. He had preferred Herbert, but his job was not to create the roster. Greer preferred Tua. Greer took Tua. They ride with Tua, right? That's your franchise quarterback. You spend that on the 5th overall pick. He's a young guy. You want to give him a chance to win. And Flores did, right? Flores wasn't going to say, no, Tua, you're not. But you could tell that he wasn't as tied in, and so Miami sat down and had to have said, I guess we're going to ride with Greer. But when you look at what Miami's done in terms of a roster construction, in drafting, free agency, there's nothing that leads me to believe that Chris Greer is an average to above average GM, much less someone that you're letting a guy like Brian Flores walk. And I've talked to people in Miami, and they claim that, Flores could be hard to handle with certain players. And I get that coming from the Bill Belichick tree. that you're just going to be an aggressive,
My way, the
hard-headed,
highway type coach,
your opinion, you're definitely going to think you're right because when you played or when you coached with the Patriots for the past 20 years, you were right. You were. There wasn't and the fact that he was the most successful Belichick, branch is also super, it speaks a lot of value to me. So it is just wild to me to think that, the GM who drafted Tua over Herbert, the GM who drafted Austin Jackson 18 and Noah Igbenogany like 25th in that same draft, 3 first-round picks, and you can make the case that all 3 of them were the wrong pick. And you could have made the case at the time, besides Tua, there weren't a lot of people who preferred Herbert. I'm not going to give him too much for that because I still think Tua has a chance to be a good quarterback. But Greer, the GM, just hasn't done anything to lead me to believe that this is the guy you should want leading your franchise. And so when you commit to him, it's just wild to me, the ineptitude in that ownership group, in that management group, to see, it's a results-based league, and Flores' results as a coach are infinitely better than Greer's results as a GM.
To me, good head coaches aren't easy to find.
Not at all.
NFL.
Not at all.
And for a franchise who hasn't had many of them, remember Adam Gase. For an NFL franchise who hasn't had many of them, you're being mighty picky when a good one is right at your front door.
There.
You're being mighty.
He's in your house, not even at the front door.
You're being mighty picky. All I have to say at the buzzer is I got to give a huge congratulations, man. A huge shout out, and I really wish Jake and Kyle were here so we can give a whole team, a whole show shout out to this guy. But our guy, LeVar Arrington, getting into the College Football Hall of Fame.
Okay.
Man. How about that?
Fun fact, that was my first ever jersey.
LeVar
Arrington, Washington jersey.
Shout out head honcho over there. So as you guys know, we're now part of the Up On Game Network and iHeartMedia. The podcast network is ran by LeVar Arrington, Plexico Burrs, and TJ Hushmanzada. So we're not only appreciative and thankful to be on that platform, but we got to give the OG his flowers. I see Stat Matt going over his laptop, so I was
trying to see if he was on the '94 Penn State team that went undefeated. He wasn't.
I don't think so. He was drafted in 2002.
Yeah, so
he was drafted in 2000.
2000, number 2 overall pick in 2000. Was three-time All-American, three-time
phenomenal player,
first team All-American too. I believe 2-time Pro Bowler.
I think Washington had like 2 of the first 3 picks in that draft.
I mean, just a phenomenal player, man. Even more of a phenomenal guy, just a great person to me. He'll be on the show soon enough, but couldn't get out of here, OG. He don't like me boasting about it too much, but I couldn't get out of here, OG, without giving you your flowers. Now giving you your congratulations once again, forever part of college football history, man. Like that's
legacy.
That's amazing, bro. That is amazing. But that is all the time we have for this episode of Straight Facts. It was a great one. Thanks again to our guy, Matt Valdovinos, coming in. The official, now, I'm going to spoil it, now the official Straight Facts NFL expert. We breaking it down.
We love to be here.
We love to be here.
It's exciting times. The draft's coming up. The playoffs are here. It's my favorite part of the season.
Plug yourself. Now the official part of the platform, plug yourself.
Go follow me on Twitter at MV Scouting. That's where we're going to throw everything through. Also find me on any socials. Well, not any socials, but specifically Twitter and TikTok. But Straight Facts Podcast, that's where we at.
We going up, man. From my guy, Stat Matt Robinson over there. You ready to do it, bro? You know that? These have been the facts.
Straight up.